Joining me now, the former acting administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services and host of the new podcast, In the Bubble, Andy Slavitt. And Andy, this Dr. Bright statement to me is, it's not shocking because it's not at all surprising in the context of the Trump administration. But if what he is saying is true, the danger of the malfeasance here can't be overstated.
Chris, this is a really alarming situation. Here's the analogy I'm going to give you. This is like the Patriots pulling Tom Brady in the fourth quarter with the team down by 6, facing elimination. This is a man, Dr. Bright, who has spent his entire career preparing for this moment. He's spent his entire career studying influenza and other infectious diseases and how to build a vaccine for these moments. This is the guy you want on the field right now. So the American public needs to look at this and say, for every possible reason, this man needs to be put back in the game. You saw Dr. Fauci was quite alarmed at this. And unfortunately, this is following the same pattern that we've seen with the Justice Department and that you pointed out we've seen with other public officials. If they do anything that doesn't reflect well on the president, they're pulled out of the game. But we need Tom Brady in the game.
And it's more than doesn't reflect well on the president. I mean, what Dr. Bright is alleging here is that he stood in the way of a demand from someone in the political apparatus of the administration to make this particular drug, hydroxychloroquine, available on demand to every American. I mean, that is a crazy allegation. The danger of that, this has been pushed by Laura Ingraham and Trump TV, and they've been pushing it as a miracle cure. And I should say there were some studies showing promise. There are some studies showing danger. We don't know. We just don't know. But that's a wildly reckless thing for the government to be pushing.
So, Chris, there's two issues. One is why he was fired, and the big, or I should say, reassigned. And the bigger issue is actually the fact that he was reassigned. Taking your best vaccine developer out of the game when you have a novel virus, when we have no immunity, and we can't get back to normal life until we have either herd immunity, which will come at the cost of a lot of lives, or a working vaccine, I can't communicate how irresponsible that is. Now, we have reason after 3.5 years to understand why that happened. We have reason after 3.5 years to understand that anybody that makes the president look bad, that this is what happens to them. There's no other explanation. You'd never pull Tom Brady out of the game for any reason based on merit.
Right. There's also the sort of really abject display today where the president trots out Dr. Redfield, who's not been at the briefing, I think, since March 9th, because he gave a fairly innocuous interview to the Washington Post where he warned that a flu season with coronavirus on top of it this fall and winter would be really difficult, will be really difficult, probably. Here's the president attempting to sort of initiate some kind of Maoist recantation from his CDC director. Take a listen.
He was misquoted, totally misquoted. He said they could come together. They didn't talk about that. And his whole purpose in making the statement was to get a flu shot.
But that quote that I just read was accurate, right, sir? That's the quote from the Washington Post. You were accurately quoted, correct?
I'm accurately quoted in the Washington Post.
It's just anything that it's such a dangerous mindset. It's such a dangerous mindset from the beginning, which is anything that sounds like it might be bad in the future has to be wiped away. And wishing will not make it so. I just can't believe that this continues to be the posture.
Long gone are the days when we were criticizing the president for lying about golfing too much. If only, and I think there were a number of people at that time, including yourself, many of others, who were saying this pattern of lying, this pattern of not being straight with the American public, this pattern of protecting yourself at the expense of what's good for the public is going to cost us. And now it's game time. Now it's for real. And so to be in an environment where you have someone who can't take any criticism, who can't face a situation where he's losing without pretending he's winning, is really problematic. I have been making a significant effort to be nonpartisan during this crisis because this virus spreads between Republicans and Democrats And I want everyone to hear the same message. I want everyone to know that this is not about partisanship, that we all have to care about each other and work together. But we also have to hold the president accountable when he does things like this. This is the kind of thing that's incredibly dangerous. In many respects, it's singularly disqualifying.
Andy Slavitt, as always, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time with us tonight. I really appreciate it.